What's up, Undisputed listeners? It's your boy, Sharpe. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now back to Undisputed.
Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. We've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Welcome to Undisputed. We are live from LA. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How you doing?
How are you guys?
Old Jackson Hayes last night. Oh. You saw that, Skip?
So, here's the point. I won 4 cases of Diet Mountain Dew on Brady at Brees. Then I won 6 cases of Diet Mountain Dew on Brady at Aaron Rodgers. Then I won 5 more cases of Diet Mountain Dew on Brady versus Mahomes. You got 2 back on the All-Star game, but Friday night, I won 2 more cases of Diet Dew because you said your man LeBron James would hit 4 threes, and he hit all of a grand total of 1.
How many did he take?
Thank you.
Well,
4.
I didn't want to remind you guys.
So you were
going to
bet that he was going to take 4 threes.
Yeah.
Take 4.
Okay, so, well, Shannon's laughing now. We'll talk about the Lakers. We'll talk about LeBron later. But we do have to begin by a guy you mentioned, Skip, but Drew Brees. Because, guys, he announced his retirement yesterday after 20 seasons in the NFL. He leaves with a Super Bowl win and the league's all-time leader in passing yards and completions. And it's the end of an era for both Brees and the Saints, who will have a different starting quarterback for the first time in 15 years. And in his announcement on Instagram, Brees wrote, quote, "I am only retiring from playing football. I am not retiring from New Orleans. This is not goodbye, rather a new beginning. Now my real life's work begins." So, Shannon, how will you remember his career?
I remember him as an all-time great, Skip, that no one saw this type of career happening. I'm old enough to remember I was in the league when he got drafted. I started in Baltimore in 2001, and then I came back in the Broncos and then San Diego Chargers, Skip. We were in the same division.
Yep.
And I got an opportunity to see him up close and personal. Skip, no one saw this coming. If Drew Brees even told you he saw this coming, I don't believe he would be telling you the truth. Because remember, they got an opportunity to draft Eli Manning, #1 overall, with that guy on his. Now, he's a franchise quarterback. Name the other franchise quarterback that was so bad one year, they got the #1 overall pick the following season.
Yep.
That does not happen. But you know what? A fateful injury happened, and he probably thought, man, they gave him, a 10, 20% chance of ever playing again.
Yep.
The Dolphins failed him on a physical.
They did.
Lo and behold, he falls in the laps of Sean Payton and the New Orleans Saints, who need a quarterback, Hurricane Katrina, and voila, magic happens.
Yep.
The rest is, as they say, Skip, history. And it just goes to show you, young people, it's not where you start, it's where you end up and what you do while you're there. Skip, Drew Brees made it fashionable. He's the reason why you see a Russell Wilson. You see a Kyler Murray, a Baker Mayfield, a 6 foot, slightly below quarterback. Man, you need to be 6'3", 6'4". You need to have a cannon of an arm. Mm-hmm. Drew Brees said, no, you don't. He found a way to make it work. Of the 12 5,000-yard passing season, that guy, 6 foot tall, Drew Brees, has 5 of them. And of all the guys, Skip, he probably has the weakest of the arms, which just goes to show you that arm strength is greatly overrated. But, Skip, I'm going to remember him as a historically great player to get what he was able to get out of his career.
Yep.
Especially after that injury.
Yep.
It speaks volumes to how hard he worked, the perseverance that he stuck to it. But it was the right time. Skip, if you look at him in his last playoff games, look at him against Tampa. Look at him the year before against Minnesota. If you go back and, Skip, look at him against the Rams. Look at him the first half against the Vikings before they got the Minnesota Miracle. Skip, he hadn't played well in his last 4 playoff games.
True.
But I'm going to remember him. I'm like, dude, how this little dude, and he's a small man, how did this little dude put up these kind of numbers, and I know, Skip, I get it, where they protect the quarterback, but still, he still got to throw the ball down the field, and he made it work.
He did.
So I'm going to remember Drew as a great, great player. He won a Super Bowl, and he beat Peyton Manning in the game, in that Super Bowl, Skip. But he also beat a 3-time MVP in Brett Favre to get there, and a 2-time MVP in Kurt Warner.
He did.
So he had a great run. Now, you could make a case that Brady had a greater run, but you can put that run that he got with the New Orleans Saints up there with any run in playoff that end up culminated in a Super Bowl. So that's how I'm going to remember him, as a great player, maximized his ability, got everything he could out of his ability. And I don't know, it's hard-pressed to see a city embrace a quarterback any more than what New Orleans embraced Drew Brees.
And he will remain with his family in New Orleans, and I'm sure he will be like a father figure to the city from here on.
Yes.
And he has a great gig lined up, I believe, doing Sunday Night Football on NBC. Congratulations, Drew Brees, on one of the all-time greatest careers ever. So I kept looking at these numbers last night, and I kept trying to put it in perspective. And there was one name I just couldn't escape, and it was a name you just brought up, and that's Tom Brady. Drew Brees' career was so great that it could have been the all-time greatest just on sheer statistics.
Right, yes.
Except he was born at the wrong time.
Yes.
He spent his whole career having to try to play up to Tom Brady, and you just can't. It's impossible. It's the bar is set absurdly high, unrealistically high, and it kept putting him in the shadows of Tom Brady.
And Skip, and smack dab in Peyton. Peyton's only a couple of
Right
years
in the middle
older.
of Peyton. But if I just had to gauge or rate or rank Brees versus Peyton, I could at least put him in the ballpark. I could do it more LeBron-esque where you have great longevity stats. And I could go, well, he did beat Peyton head-to-head in a Super Bowl. That was great, man.
Yes.
And you just said that run.
Yeah.
That was up there.
Yes.
And yet, if we look at Peyton's postseason, it was 14-13, but it helped in Denver that he got to the two Super Bowls, and then he won one, and he kind of went along for a ride on that one. Thanks, he sort of rode Von Miller's coattails to that Super Bowl. So Peyton finished 2-2 in Super Bowls,
right?
But he was only 9-10 in the playoffs while with the Colts,
right?
14-13 overall. So if you just looked at the all-time numbers, you could start making that LeBron-esque sort of LeBron versus Jordan case that on just sheer longevity numbers, that Brees had a slightly better career than Peyton did. I wouldn't go there, but you could at least...
Yeah, you could make it, you could debate it.
You could at least debate it. But you can't debate Brady because Drew Brees has ended up in the postseason 9-9, and that counts that one run of 3-0 to the Super Bowl. So if you take that away, he's 6-9 in the postseason. Brady is 34-11 with 7 Super Bowls.
Right.
Well, it's like game over. You can't even start the conversation there. So he was just born at the wrong time. He was born a year and almost a half after Brady was. And yet it's got to crush Drew Brees that the man that he's fought against since he was in college in the Big Ten is still going strong. So right now, as we speak, Drew Brees holds the all-time record for most completions, 7,142. He holds the all-time yardage record of 80,358 yards. It's a ridiculous number of yards. But those are not going to stand because Brady will catch and pass both of them, because I'm pretty sure Brady's going to play 2 more seasons.
Right, this year
I know he's going to play 1, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be 2. And then after that, all bets are off. We'll see what happens.
Right.
But it's 2 more years, and I kept telling you, I wonder if Drew Brees will go Brady-esque and say, well, okay, he posted that video a week or so ago. I thought, well, is he going to try to go Brady and go somewhere else just to compete for numbers?
No.
Nope. You know why? Because he's had enough. His body has had enough. It's like you hit the wall at 35. It was both body and mind. You're just beaten from it, where you just say, okay, I've done all I can do, and I'm satisfied with what I did, and he's got to be more than satisfied.
Oh, yeah.
Except for the Brady factor. And remember, it started back in college when in 1999, Drew Brees at Purdue started off 4-0. And they got all the way up to number 11, and they went and visited number 4 Michigan in the Big House. And it was Tom Brady at quarterback that day. And Brady threw 2 first-quarter touchdowns, and they were off to the races and won 38-12. Mm-hmm. So that sort of crushed Purdue, and they ended up going 7-5 that year. So they plummeted out of the top 20, obviously. So it started there, and then it also had to crush Brees' soul. It's like, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, 1 year ago about today, what did we hear? Nobody saw that coming. Wait, Tom Brady is going to Drew Brees' division? Huh? He is? Well, Brees continued to thump him and thumped him twice. And that second thumping on Sunday Night Football at Tampa was just all-time career. I thought it was the worst game Brady's ever played on that Sunday night at Tampa Bay. And yet, what happened in the playoffs? Who ended Drew Brees' career? It was Tom Brady. He did it again. And I'm not saying he completely outplayed him. It was, as you pointed out, it was more of a defensive game in that the defense took the game over against Drew Brees.
Yeah, I think Brees was like 30 or 38 for 288. And I think he had a touchdown or 2. But Tracy Porter made the play of the game, the pick 6 that really sealed it.
Okay,
like Peyton was driving
that's the
in the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
but
Drew, in the playoff game,
now, you talking about against Tampa?
Yes.
Yeah, no, he played bad, Skip. He played bad.
Who played bad?
Drew.
Well, I mean, he came apart thanks to, but I'm saying it was almost more of a defensive game for Tampa.
You talking about Tom Brady didn't put up huge numbers.
Tom played pretty well, but his defense played
outstanding.
The best game of the year. And Antoine Winfield Jr., a rookie out of Minnesota, made the play of the year, maybe.
Yes.
Because Jared Cook's got it in his hands, and he's going for a big first down and big yardage into Tampa Bay territory.
Because they're up 7 at that point, Skip. So it looks like a worst-case scenario, they're about to get a field goal.
Right, and he was crossing the 50.
Yeah.
From behind. Guess what? Ball's on the ground and game's on the ground, and here they go.
They head back the other way, get a touchdown, and they don't look back.
That is correct. Okay, so in the end, you look at what he did as, I would like to say he's the greatest overachiever ever at the position, but the truth is, I've told you, I think Brady's a little greater overachiever at the position than even Drew Brees. And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Look at Drew's lineage, his family lineage. His father played basketball at Texas A&M. His mother, who became a prominent attorney, was all-state in 3 sports in high school in Texas. Pretty good. And I don't know if you remember his uncle, Marty Akins, but he was the starting quarterback for Darrell Royal at Texas for 3 years. I just know him from the big Oklahoma-Texas battles. And he was the Southwest Conference Player of the Year in 1975. Marty Akins, the Texas fans will definitely know. He's pretty legendary. Well, he was Drew's uncle.
Right.
So Drew grows up in Austin, Texas. Austin Westlake. They just dominate high school football, and nobody wants him. He couldn't get a sniff from either Texas A&M, where his father went, or from the University of Texas, where his uncle went. And he winds up, it's either Kentucky or Purdue, and he goes to Purdue.
Yeah, okay. normally Texas kids don't go to Purdue.
Okay, but I always thought Drew Brees was an underrated athlete, and I never thought Tom Brady was an underrated athlete, because I can't get that horror movie out of my mind of the 40-yard dash that he ran.
Skip, the reason why I believe Drew is a greater overachiever, Skip, because of the size.
Yep. No,
if he was 6'5", Skip, okay, you get Tom. But Skip, we hadn't seen anything like this. 6 foot tall quarterback, maybe 6 foot. If he
I think he's definitely 6 foot tall. Yeah.
If he had an arm like Mike Vick, I said, okay, well, Skip, look how he throw the ball. He can launch at 80 yards. He had none of that. He didn't have Michael Vick or Kyler Murray speed, Lamar Jackson elusiveness. He didn't have Mike Vick's arm. He average height, average arm, average athleticism. And look what he got, 80,000 yards? You're right, Brady's going to pass it. He had the touchdown record. Brady's going to end up with that.
He's just going to pass him in everything.
Yeah, but when I look at him, I'm like, that does not look like the guy that was going to play 20 years and at one point in time had every statistical meaningful category at the quarterback position.
He did. Nope, I got it. So now we move forward in New Orleans, and I assume they are going to sign Jameis to a longer-term franchise quarterback kind of a deal.
You think so?
That's all the reports. That's all the speculation. That as we speak, they're working on a deal.
What's a franchise?
I don't know, but you got to pay him some money because he is a free agent.
Right.
He's not restricted. He is free.
Correct.
Would anybody else make a big play for Jameis? Maybe. Now, I don't know what big money is. I don't know if we're
10
talking.
million?
Well, Cam got 14 with his incentives.
But Skip, you got to win the playoffs. You got to play 50% of the time. You got to have this. You got to have that. I'm talking about Jameis says, look here, give me $10 million base plus incentives.
Yep, maybe. Remember,
and then let me get to that bottom tier quarterback number, Skip. $18, $20 million. Let me get to the bottom tier.
Okay,
but at least
Jameis was the #1 overall pick.
Yes.
This is his 7th season in the NFL. He willingly and happily took about $1 million last year, just as minimum as you could get, just to understudy Drew Brees. He got his feet wet a little bit. He got in the game here or there.
Right.
So he got the system down in his head. It would be between him and Taysom Hill. We saw Taysom get to start, 4 games or whatever it was. And nobody said, that's the guy.
No.
I don't think Sean Payton said, that's my man going forward. But does he work as that gadget guy, as a little bit of a compliment? Sure.
Keep him in that role. Skip.
Yeah. Keep him, let him do what he does.
Right.
Okay? So, Jameis, what do you always say? High turnovers in college, high turnovers in
brought
pro
it with him to
football.
the league.
Okay, and he did. And 2 seasons ago, as he started his last full season in Tampa, what did he do? He had 35 turnovers, which by far and away led the league in turnovers. And the odds are he will continue to try to throw home runs at a cost to Sean Payton that he will not like. So I fear for Jameis a little bit because these are, again, Cam did a great job going to Foxborough and filling Brady's cleats up there, the winged cleats of Tom Brady. Boy, Jameis is going to have a hard time here because they are going to be very demanding starting next year because they need Drew Brees back in the saddle as far as production goes.
Skip, if you remember his last year in Tampa, Jameis threw for over 5,000 yards.
He led the league.
With 30 picks. So imagine how many yards he would have thrown for had he cut that in half.
Agreed.
He might have broke Peyton's record. He needs to understand, and I think Sean Payton will drive this home. You have to take calculated risks. Everything can't be a jump ball to Mike Evans or a jump ball to Chris Godwin. We can't win games like that. Because you see what happened, it cost us in the playoffs. We turned the ball. We were in control of this ball game until we turned the ball over.
Yep.
If you look at our playoff games that we've lost, we were in control of the game until we turned the ball over. That's what Jameis has to understand. Brady has done the best job maybe of any quarterback understanding the situation in which he's in.
Yep.
Man, this is a defensive struggle. I can't turn the ball over. He takes care of it with the exception of the Green Bay game. But his defense was in their bag that day. And they kept Aaron Rodgers out of the end zone, where if he had gotten maybe one score, a touchdown instead of kicking field goals, who knows, the outcome might have been different. But Brady does a great job of understanding the moment, understanding situations, and he won't put the ball in harm's way. And you look like, man, Brady didn't do anything but win. He ain't got 350 yards, Skip. He don't have 4 touchdowns. He got the dub. And so I wish more quarterbacks understood. Instead of trying to win the game, Brady would do a great job of not losing the game. And I think that comes from Coach Belichick playing in that system, Skip, because Coach Belichick didn't give him the best weapons. He said, look, let's just keep it close with a chance to win it. That's why, for the most part, Skip, all of his Super Bowls have come what? 1-score games. They either win it or lose it on the last possession of the ball game. That's how Coach Belichick wanted him to play, and that's been ingrained in Tom. So Tom, more times than not, he's not going to lose a ball game late in the game with a costly turnover.
Okay, so Bruce Arians, obviously no risk it, no biscuit, but you don't think Sean Payton is a gambler of a play caller? Except he had Brees, who completes 68% of his passes for his career, which is extraordinary.
Right.
So he had a guy he could gamble with because Drew Brees wouldn't usually do anything crazy, when he called a gambling play.
What Drew did, Skip, is that people got tired. Drew just nibble. Little check down here, flare to Alvin Kamara, little slant route to Mike Thomas, and everybody, all of a sudden, you start getting greedy. Well, I'm finna jump this, and now they double move you. And so now they run gadget plays.
Yep.
They catch you looking in the backfield. They pitch it to Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill throw the ball over your head. Jameis needs to understand, if you turn the ball over in this league, you lose and you go to the bench. That's what cost him his job in Tampa. It wasn't like he turned the ball over too much, Skip.
Yep.
5,000 yards. There's only been 12 of those seasons. Brees got 5 of them, but he's in there with Stafford and Drew Brees, Tom Brady,
Yep.
Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Ben Roethlisberger. Skip, there's only a handful of guys that's thrown for 5,000. He did it with 30 picks.
He did.
So the talent is there. It's just that he has to minimize the turnovers.
So now the marquee showcase games, I'm assuming on Fox, will no longer be Brees versus Brady, but they will be Jameis versus his former team, now headed by Tom Brady.
Right. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Skipper, Fox is probably hoping. I think Tampa goes to New England. I think they play New England next year.
They do.
I know Fox is hoping Tampa goes to New England as opposed to vice versa because they go there, it's our game. No, isn't that how it works? Isn't that how it works?
If it's home, it's ours. I'm not even sure how it goes, but whatever.
Yeah.
They definitely go to Foxborough to play. We assume Cam, but we're not sure.
It'll be CBS game because it's a home.
Yeah. Are they going to settle on Cam, or is Jimmy G still in the works?
Right.
Possibility.
But Skip, when I look at Drew, Skip, for him to be 6 foot tall with not the biggest of arms, with not the greatest of mobility, nothing, he has no collar athleticism, no Mike Vick arms, none of this, Skip. He doesn't have Josh Allen's height, but he got that out of his ability. I didn't, like I said, I was up close. I got an opportunity to see him, and I was talking to a teammate of mine. I was like, man, I was there when Drew got benched. We played him, Skip, on a Sunday. My last year, he got benched. They put him and put Doug Flutie in.
I got it.
They put Doug Flutie in the game.
I didn't love it. In fact, I was working in Chicago and made a point of going out to Northwestern one Saturday to watch Drew Brees. Must have been his junior year, just to see what he looked like. I came away unimpressed.
Right. And what he said at the end, he says, this is not the end, but the beginning of my life work.
Sure.
He's been great.
Yep.
He's been better than great for the city of New Orleans. For someone to immerse themselves in the community like he has, Skip, I've said this, and I told Drew, I said, Drew, I don't know if there's ever been a black community embrace a quarterback like the city of New Orleans has you.
Yep.
You don't get that anywhere, Drew. I mean, it's special. I mean, for what he's been able to do it for Katrina, and then he gave $5 million this past summer. I get the slip up. That's just a blip on the radar. If that's all you're going to remember Drew Brees for is about something that he said that he had a misstep.
He had a misstep.
If that's how you're going to remember Drew Brees, you missed the point.
That he stood by what he said in 2016 about shouldn't kneel for the anthem.
Right.
And then he apologized about as profusely as anyone's ever apologized.
Yes, and for me, okay, put action to work. You say you're sorry and that you're going to make amends, okay?
And he did.
He did that.
And it seemed like he won his whole team back.
Absolutely, absolutely, because he's been so great in the community. And that what got the community so upset, Skip, is because he has been so great. Drew, we expect somebody else to say something like this, but not you, Drew.
I got you.
That's why it hurt them so bad, and I tried to convey that to him. But I'm going to remember a guy that had a great, great career, and he got more out of his career than maybe even Drew thought he could.
Yep. Well done, Drew Brees.
Well done. Well done.
You can only say congrats so many times. And the Saints, they tweeted this. I thought it was really special. You came to us at our lowest point. You led us to our highest. He has done so much for the community. And just the image of his kids announcing his retirement, how much he's looking forward to that next step in his life. We will be enjoying watching you in the booth as well. So congrats to Drew Brees.
No mercy.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com. Reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, are just one click away.
For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. Download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com.
Hey, Undisputed listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we could all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you.
In the first NCAA tournament without Duke and Kentucky since 1976, the field of 68 has been set. Gonzaga, who went 26-0 this regular season with 25 double-digit wins, is the #1 overall seed. Baylor, Illinois, and Michigan round out the other #1 seed. So, Shannon, let's jump right to it. Tell me, what is your Final Four and who wins all of it?
Skip, this was really hard because the perennial powerhouses aren't powerhouses this year. The blue bloods that we normally think of, as Jenny mentioned, Kentucky, Duke, not even in the tournament. Michigan State, UCLA, other blue bloods, play-in game. Kansas weren't as strong as they normally are. North Carolina weren't as strong as they normally are. This might be the best chance for a non-Power 5 team to win the national title. And if it is a Power 5 conference, it's probably going to be someone maybe we least expect, or someone, Skip, we don't really think as a basketball program.
Yep.
So for me, I'm shooting in the dark here, Skip, because a lot of teams, they go weeks without playing. They went 2 weeks. I think Michigan went like 2 weeks without even playing a game.
Yep.
I almost had Michigan in my Final Four bracket, Skip, but the loss is right at the tail end. You can't lose to Michigan State when you're the superior, clearly the better team, and then you lost again.
Well, they got blown out at home by Illinois.
So I was like, nah, I can't pick you guys. Gonzaga was an easy choice. Gonzaga, the Zags. They've been the best team the entire season. And if you look at their roster, now I didn't know this guy, but Master P, who did my podcast, Skip, he said he mentioned this guy's name. But they start a senior, a redshirt junior, a sophomore, and a freshman. Now the freshman is point guard Jalen Suggs. Many believe he'll be a top 5 pick.
He will be.
If you look at the way they're constructed, you see why normally they're always in it somehow, because they always have these guys, Skip, that stay 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. So instead of playing with an all-freshman-based team, they have a couple of seniors and juniors sprinkled in there. Yep. So I have them as one. I'm going to take Illinois. They won 14 of the last 15. They beat Ohio State in overtime to claim the Big Ten title. I like they beat Michigan earlier. So I like them. I'm going to take Alabama. I'm gonna take Bama. They're not a bad. Bama. When you think Bama, what you think about? St. Nick. Hey, well, not only did they win the conference championship in football, Skip, they did it in basketball the first time since 1991. So I like them to come out of the East, and I'm gonna take Ohio State.
Okay.
I think they played well to do what they did against Michigan, and they've been in the top 5. They've been flirting, top 5, and then they lost like 2 or 3 games. But I believe they're ready. So I got Gonzaga, Illinois, Alabama, Ohio State. Now, the only one that I'm 100% confident in getting to the Final Four is the Zags. But I like my bracket.
Okay. And you have which team winning it all?
I got the Zags beating the Illini.
Okay. I concur with you only on your first point.
The Zags.
No.
Oh, you don't like
this tournament?
Yes. Okay.
I have been picking this tournament forever, and it gets harder by the year.
It does.
And this is the hardest year ever because of all the COVID crises this sport has faced. Gonzaga was down and out for a while with COVID issues. And yet, in all my time watching sports, the most aptly, appropriately nicknamed sport in the history of sports is March Madness. It is truly madness. It is the all-time roller coaster ride, often for all the wrong reasons, because it's not even fair that you take a lot of 18 and 19-year-old kids and you throw them into very strange venues at weird times, can be early or late, and it's just one and done.
Yes.
And it's a three-point shooting contest from a line that's much closer than the NBA line.
Yep.
And you either make them or you miss them. And if you have one bad day where your star is having a fight with his girlfriend or whatever is happening off the court,
You're going
are
home.
done. So that's the bitter and the sweet of this tournament. So I just throw it up in the wind and see what comes back down. So I agree with your picks only on one. I agree with Alabama. I think Alabama from start to finish looked to me like an even more consistent team to me, to my eye, than Gonzaga looked.
Wow.
Because Alabama starts 2 seniors and 2 sophomores. And in their scoring, it goes Shackelford, Quinterly, Petty Jr., and Jones. They go 14, 13, 12, and 11 points a game. So they're incredibly balanced. And that coach, Nate Oates, I think he's on his way to becoming a Roy Williams or maybe even
You don't think it's going to be
at
at Alabama long, huh?
I don't know. I mean, you could build a powerhouse there. It's not like they didn't build a power in football, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But he got pedigree. And that's good.
Well, I got it, but he's off to the races there. And remember, they won 9 of their last 10. They won the conference. They won the conference tournament. And I'm going with Alabama as one of my picks. But out of that league, I'm also going with Arkansas because back on February 24th at Arkansas, my man Moses Moody just did a number on Alabama, and they won 81-66. That was the game of the year for Arkansas, coached by my guy Eric Musselman, who I knew pretty well when he coached the Golden State Warriors. I know he's bounced around a little bit, but he's coaching the heck out of Arkansas. So they're my second team. Then I'm now down to the 2 players who are vying for Player of the Year. One is going to be the first pick in the draft in Cade Cunningham. And I've watched him a lot this year. I probably watched 10 Cade Cunningham games at Oklahoma State. And I'm an Oklahoma guy, but I watched the Orange Men a lot.
I watched him do a number on your Sooners, too.
He did.
A couple of Saturdays ago.
Well, he's done a couple numbers on my Sooners. And I don't know if I want to go special yet, but he's going to be the first pick in the draft. And he's getting to where he's just growing up right before your very eyes. Where now he's a man among boys and he's just a freshman, obviously. But he's just taking over games. He can distribute it. He can score it from 3. He can take it to the rack.
And in games like this, Skip, in a tournament like this, guys, freshmen can take it over.
They can.
We remember Carmelo Anthony. We remember Purvis Ellison. So we've seen freshmen dominate this run when you win 6 games. And he has that kind of ability that he can take over a game at any given moment.
Okay, and I was shocked. They were only a 4 seed. I'm like, 4 seed? Are you kidding me? They're just better than that, and they're going to win the Midwest over Illinois. Then that leaves me one team, and I'm going with the 2 seed in Gonzaga's region in the West, because I watched a bit of a game played back on December 19th, and it was at sort of a COVID protocol site that they had to just set up on the fly in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It was Gonzaga's home game against Iowa. Now we're to the other Player of the Year possibility. We got a Luka in college basketball, and his name is Luka Garza. So here we go with another Luka. And that night against Gonzaga, he went 30 and 10. He goes about 6'11", but he had 30 points and 10 rebounds. But Jalen Suggs, who I love because he will compete, he's got a lot of refuse to lose in him. He made 7 of 10 threes that night. They made 50% of their threes, while Iowa went 4 for 18 from 3. So it was a 3-point contest, and Gonzaga ended up running away from them 99-88. I believe that will get reversed in the regional final. So I'm going to go with Luka over Gonzaga in the regional final. They'll make a lot more threes, and Gonzaga won't. They better. And so that leaves my Final Four then. Arkansas versus Oklahoma State. And I'm going to go Arkansas in that game as much as I like. I love Cade Cunningham, but listen, check out Moses Moody and tell me he can't play. Whew. And then I've got Iowa as a 2 seed against Alabama, another 2 seed in the other semifinal. And then I've got Alabama winning it all.
What?
Got Alabama winning it all over Arkansas.
Has that ever happened? A football team that won the same year?
You heard it here first.
I don't know, Skip. I think Gonzaga is the most battle-tested of all the teams. They beat Iowa by 11. They beat Kansas by 12. They beat Virginia by 23. They're 2, 3, and 4 seeds in their respective brackets. So I know Gonzaga is battle-tested. BYU had them down, and they come back in the finals and crush BYU. So I think they're battle-tested. They have enough upperclassmen sprinkled in with a sensational freshman in order to get the job done. Because when you play freshman-led teams, Skip, if I'm an opposing coach, I said, look, all I want to do is get it to the last 5 minutes of game. I know now if we let them get up and down, their athleticism is better than ours. But I want to get them where they have to think and they have to execute in the last 5 minutes. And we see that. Skip, remember Coach K in Wisconsin? They got them to the last 5 minutes of the game. They had all that talent, Karl Anthony Towns, all those guys. Let's see if they can execute the last 5 minutes. Without letting them get up and down, put them in a half-court set. Well, Gonzaga, yeah, they can rain threes, but put them in a half-court set. They got enough experience to get the job done. Somebody's going to catch the Dickens, but like you said, on any given night, somebody get hot, you get cold, and it's good night. It's kind of like Georgetown and Creighton. Creighton couldn't throw it in the ocean. Georgetown couldn't miss. They blew them out. Congratulations, Patrick Ewing.
Oh, yeah.
I think they all know who you are at Madison Square at MSG right now. That was a great story. But normally, you know, Skip, I'll fill out a bracket, and I'm like, I like this. I like this bracket.
Do you?
Skip, I fill out my bracket today, and I'm like, I'm really shooting in the dark on this one.
Okay. Well, so how many 1 seeds you got? One seed? How many?
I don't worry about the 1 seed. I just want, as long as my Gonzaga win and yours don't, we got 2 cases on it.
2 cases on
my bracket gonna be better than yours.
2 cases on the brackets?
Whatever you want, however you want to bet it.
Who has the most Final Four teams?
Okay, we can do that too.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
You don't have none.
You realize every time you propose a bet on this show, you lose.
Let me tell you what's gonna happen to you. By Saturday, by Sunday, this is what you're gonna be doing to your bracket.
Well, it's highly possible, but I think you might be doing that.
No. As long Skip, all I need is one. The Gonzaga. All I need is them to take me all the way home.
Okay, just remember I said this. Alabama will get revenge over Arkansas for its one bad loss the whole year. And it was at Arkansas on February 24th, 81-66. Alabama is the steadiest team I watched all year, even steadier and better coached than Gonzaga is. Remember, Gonzaga has never won this thing after all the Cinderella stories.
Skip, I believe this is their best chance also. If you look, because normally there's always a Duke, there's always a North Carolina. They went up against North Carolina, they lost against North Carolina. They've always been those true blue blood powerhouses that's been remaining where they would have to go up against. Skip, there aren't any of those guys. And the blue bloods, they got a lot of one and done guys. And even some of the one and dones opted out. Some of them got injured. And so this is wide open now. If I'm Mark Field, I'm telling my guys, this is as good a chance as we ever gonna have right now. Let's seize this moment.
I'm not sure I would tell them that.
I'm telling them. I want you to know we got to actually, no Duke. I mean, Carolina's an 8 seed. Michigan, Skip, when you ever thought Michigan State and UCLA would be in the play-in game? UCLA won like 10 of these things.
It's flipped on its head.
Yes.
I agree.
But in football, look at Skip. The power is still there. Who did you have? Clemson.
Yeah.
You had Notre Dame.
Yeah.
You had Alabama. You had Ohio State. The powerhouses, even in the COVID shortened season, the powerhouses were still there. Not in basketball.
No.
Not in Can you imagine, Skip, a Final Four with no Notre Dame, no Ohio State, no Clemson, no Alabama?
No. Agreed. So here we go.
Oh, I'm just happy that we have March Madness because this time last year when we weren't able to watch basketball, it was so hard for all many of us. So yes, we're looking forward to it. Great stuff from both you guys, and I can't believe Shannon went with Bama. No surprise there. Guys, the Cowboys, we got to move on to Skip's team. They can officially cross a Dak Prescott extension off their offseason to-do list, but with the legal tampering period beginning in just 2 hours, Dallas can now turn their attention to other free agents. The Cowboys have quite a few holes to fill, notably on defense, which we've been talking about. And Bleacher Report recently named the top priority for each team during free agency, saying that the Cowboys need to, quote, finally attack safety. So, Skip, we will start with you here. It is your team. What are you hoping to hear from your Cowboys?
Here's my first issue with my Dallas Cowboys. It seems like forever, seems like the last 2 decades, back to my man Darren Woodson, has the term safety been an oxymoron for my team, meaning it's completely unsafe at safety.
Well, you had Roy Williams. You didn't like Roy Williams?
Not
He was more in the box.
Yeah, he was definitely in the box. I've had our man Xavier Woods, who's sat right here, and he's a great young man, but he's been, Xavier, too often lost in the woods for me. So the market has some intriguing names on it. So I look at the 2 Atlanta safeties are both right there for Dan Quinn, and nobody's going to know them better than my new defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, obviously the
new DC and
the head coach.
He was the head coach
in
Atlanta.
So Keanu Neal, their box safety, is on the market.
Yeah.
And Ricardo Allen, their free safety, is on the market. And the reason they're on the market to me is you're always trying to replace both of them because they're pretty good, but they're not that guy, right? And then Malik Hooker out of Ohio State. I loved him coming out in 2017, and then he tore his ACL, and then he tore his Achilles tendon. Well, it's tricky. He is by far the most talented on the market, but do you trust the health?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a little scary to me and a little shaky. Trey Boston is out there. Tayshaun Gibson is out there. These are all pretty good players. Pretty good players.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Who will come at relative bargains. Are they that much better than Xavier Woods or Donovan Wilson? Probably not that much better. Maybe a little more experienced. But there's still that guy, that one name out there. He's still out there. I have beaten this table for so many years. Beaten it. Go get Earl Thomas. I know what happened in Baltimore. He just flamed out. He had a fight with Chuck Clark, the other safety. And then he went home and posted
over his blown assignment.
Yeah, over his blown, but he posted team internal video to try to prove his point about Chuck Clark.
Right.
And then took it down, which was a violation of just team rules.
Right.
You don't go posting your internal practice video,
Correct.
right? And then he had an off-season incident involving his wife, who allegedly held a gun on him, and it was just a mess. And then they filed for divorce, reportedly. Could he be held accountable for that, for just conduct unbecoming, if he does, in fact, come back?
Yep.
Maybe. He's still only 31 years of age, is Earl Thomas. The last full season he played in Baltimore in 2019, he made the Pro Bowl. You can say he made it on reputation, but I thought he played pretty well that year. Their defense ended up 3rd in points allowed. It was pretty good. And he contributed a lot to that defense. I believe he can still play as he approaches age 32 into next year.
Okay.
He grew up wanting to be a Cowboy fan. If we could see the video of what happened back in 2017, remember he chased Jason Garrett all the way up the ramp at Jerry World after Seattle had won that game. Come get me, Jason, come get me. Now, that was when he was flying high for the Seahawks, and he was at contractual impasse with them. He wanted to be paid. Then he fell out with Pete Carroll. Then what did he do, break his leg?
Yeah, broke his leg and then flipped Pete off on the cart going out the field.
Okay. So we know there's lots of baggage there. But speaking of Dan Quinn, did Dan not coach him?
Yeah.
Does Dan not know him?
Yep.
Could Dan not say, hey, I'll be good with him. I can handle it. I know how to push the right buttons in Earl. Now that you have Dak back in the saddle as the team leader, is Dak's personality strong enough to kind of keep Earl in check? Yeah, I believe it is.
Yes.
So he's a real live Pro Bowl safety who I still think has 2 or 3 good years left. We've seen safeties in their mid-30s, right? Rod Woodson had a great run late.
But the thing is that what you have to understand as you're a safety, Skip, and as you start to age, you can't take the risk that you took at 26, 27. And I'm not so sure Earl understands that. And that's the problem, because he's still trying to make those same plays, Skip. And as we get older, our reflexes they're not what they used to be. What about John Johnson? You don't like him from the Rams?
I
might be a little over your price.
I'm just wondering. I keep waiting for the bombshell to drop that the Rams have. I can't believe he's going to actually hit the market.
Anthony Harris for the Vikings.
He's a good player, but these are out of the price range type players. I'm just talking about bargains.
You try to get a bargain.
Well, they always say, well, Jerry doesn't like to spend. Now, I would spend if you could get one of those guys at more your price than theirs. I just don't know how much they're going to command.
Skip, we've all been to these stores, and there's a little bin with a lot of little mixed products in there. There's some of this and there's some of that.
Yep.
They're like for $1. Mm-hmm. They're in that bin for a reason. Now, if you go get what you pay for, now the good stuff normally is on the shelf. It's not in that little bin in the center of the store.
Is Earl Thomas in that bin?
Yeah, he's in that bin.
Okay, and can you tell me what a bargain he might be if you got him at the veteran minimum just so he could play his way back into good graces in the league?
He would be a great bargain, but Skip, I think the mere fact that he hadn't been signed and you haven't even heard his name mentioned lets you know the baggage that comes along with this young man. Because trust me, they've reached out to Seattle. Because Skip, if it's an isolated incident, we can understand that. But how do you take that baggage, what you had in Seattle, and bring that to Baltimore? Skip, if you can't get along in Baltimore's locker room, I know because I was in Baltimore's locker room. Mm-hmm. They let Ozzie and John Harbaugh, they let you be you. Because if you be you, that means you're going to go play your butt off. Don't conform to anything. If you talk, talk. If you do whatever it is you do, just do it.
Okay.
And he couldn't conform to that, Skip. And they still fighting. There's still the arbitration or what mediation, whether or not they're going to pay his 2020 salary. I think it speaks volume that this man, as talented as you said, as he is, still is unable to find gainful employment. That lets you know it was a lot worse than what even the media knew.
What if they're all wrong? What if he has been humbled by his year off? What if he's willing to come in helmet in hand and say, okay, I know I have to do this to re-achieve that. It's his favorite childhood team and a coordinator that he played for before.
Skip, the hardest thing to do is when you've had success doing something one way is to change that way. Earl has always took risk, and it's paid off for him going to Pro Bowls, being All-Pro, being an all-decade safety. Mm-hmm. So now you're asking him, because now if he doesn't make those plays that he made, you say, see, that's why nobody signed him. So you have to be willing to let him gamble some. Are you willing? Do you have the type defense that can overcome his mistakes? I don't believe you do. I don't believe you do.
Yeah, but 31 is not too old at that position.
No.
Because you can play that position with your head as well as your body.
Yes, right? Yes, you can. But Woody played Rod Woodson.
Yep.
Charles Woodson, Skip, they weren't taking those. As they got older and older, they took less and less risk. Earl's taking more and more risk.
It's because he's as gifted a ball hawk safety as anyone this side of Ed Reed.
Yes, Skip, but you need to let me know. You can't just go do it and then tell me what. Okay. And looking around at everybody else. You got to, how about tell the free safety that, hey, bro, I'm finna jump this crossing route, so watch the hole for me.
Yep.
How about tell the corner, hey, bro, I'm about to, get deep, because I'm going to jump this, because when they throw this, I'm going to jump it.
Do you know how many starting safeties I've had to suffer through who don't even belong in the bargain bin of free agency right now? Do you know how low my bar is set?
I see.
Do you know how much I used to love Earl Thomas? Do you know how close Jerry was? He thought he had a deal.
Right.
We're going back now
3 years.
Almost 3 years ago. He had it done, according to everybody who knew. Mm-hmm. And at the last second, John Schneider, the GM in Seattle, jerked that proverbial rug.
Everybody keep jerking. Why everybody keep jerking the rug out from Jerry?
And once you do that to Jerry, Dak seemed to overcome it, forgive, and I don't know if he forgot, but he forgave. Yeah. And yet, remember, they had it for a second-round pick.
Right.
And at the last second,
now
it was John Schneider. We want a first.
Yeah, Earl played really well. First? You notice that, Skip? The guy started playing well. Hey, we want a first now because he played well. Dak, they started playing well, threw a couple of touchdowns.
Yep.
I need a little bit more money.
Hey, did he not play well against my Cowboys up in Seattle? The last time he faced them, he took the game over.
He did.
He is capable of taking games over. He's so much better than what I've had. He would be, to me, worth the trouble to hope that he was in the right place at the right time with the right coordinator, the right quarterback in charge of the locker room, and the right America's team around him where he says, I'm home and I got to be on my best behavior.
Yeah, Skip, you mentioned Ricardo Allen and Keanu Reeves.
Yep.
They were supposed to be Neil, right?
Yeah. If I could get Keanu Reeves out of John Wick, if I could get John Wick, I'll take it. I'll pay him whatever. I'll pay him more than I paid Dak. If I could get John Wick, because it would be over. We would win every game.
There was supposed to be Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas in Atlanta. Neil was going to be the thumper. Allen was going to be the whole safety that picked things off if you're wrong.
I got it.
And for whatever reason, it didn't pan out. Maybe they didn't.
Neither ever quite lived up to that billing.
Right.
No, I agree, which is why Atlanta finally said, okay, let's start over.
Right. They're starting over.
Yep.
But Skip, I mean, you might have to, you might have to bite the bullet. You say you got some money. John Johnson might be the best available, he or Anthony Harris. So you might have to bite the bullet and go $8, $10, $12 million.
Yeah, I would take him if I thought they weren't going to just break the bank, because they might.
You got to spend money. Take money to make money.
We still got Aldon Smith out there, and we got to bring him back, because that's crucial.
What? You just want everybody. You want all the good players.
I just need Aldon Smith. Was he not in the bargain bin last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he played well enough to be...
Well, how much money you want to pay him?
That's kind of the X factor of this whole thing. I don't know. Does he owe Dallas anything because Dallas gave him a great chance? Did he have fun? Yeah, he had fun in Dallas. Did he like playing for McCarthy? I think he did.
So you saying like $4, $5 million?
Yeah, like that. Yeah. So,
and you want a safety in that same range, huh? Well, you get a $4, $5 million safety.
You could get one of that group. See, Earl Thomas might play for the veteran minimum just to have a chance to redeem himself. Now, that's the steal of the deal.
Do you really believe in Earl Thomas?
I do.
Huh?
I still believe in it. I believe in it as a player. I can't, it's hard for me to defend off the field, but, here we go.
Well,
do it, Jerry. Just do it.
I hope that works out for you.
You know what? If you hear today
some
that we have signed Earl Thomas, I know you, and you'll be scared. You'll be like,
just a little bit.
No, I won't.
No?
So y'all signed Earl Thomas. Are you better than Tampa, Green Bay? Which one you better than?
Our offense is right there with those.
Give them the offense for
You don't
now.
get to take your offense to the Super Bowl and lead the defense at home.
We just
got
outscored
his guy.
people. That's how
He's got
we
his
do
guy.
this.
No mercy. The Lakers beat the Pacers Friday 105-100. Despite trailing for most of the game and by as much as 12 points early in the fourth, the Lakers outscored the Pacers 31-14 to close the game. Kuzma finished with a team-high 24 points, 13 rebounds, including 5 for 8 with 2 clutch three-pointers in the fourth. So, Shannon, was this a blip or a trend here for Kuzma?
I hope it's a trend, but it's just hard to trust Kuz. Now, I did like Skip. The last time I saw him play against Sacramento, he played really well, and he followed that up. But
without LeBron.
Without LeBron.
Yep.
But I think the thing is, what helps Kuzma if he's accepting of his role? Whether you come in, whether you start or you come in off the bench, you have to be accepting a role. And I know it's hard because he see guys that was in his draft, Skip. He sees what they're doing. He see guys close in his age. He see what Brandon Ingram's doing. He sees what Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Donovan Mitchell's doing. But none of those guys have a LeBron James and an Anthony Davis on their team. So he needs to understand that. Look at Carmelo Anthony when he accepted his role and that, you know what, I'm coming off the bench. He never accepted that in OKC. He never really accepted his role. He wanted to be the guy that he was in New York and all these other places. He didn't accept his role at first in Portland. When he embraced that role, look at Melo now.
Yeah.
Kyle Kuzma.
I mean, it can be sad on any given night that used to be Melo.
Yeah, it used to be, but Skip, where he is now in his career, he's in a perfect role. Kyle Kuzma needs to understand, if I'm not scoring, I can do other things to help this team win. He started crashing the boards. 5 of his last 6 games, he's had at least 11 rebounds.
That's just extraordinary.
Right.
I never thought I would see the day.
But occasionally, he'll still make those plays. You like, Kuz, bruh. LeBron passing the ball, Skip, with 3 seconds on the clock. He dribbles it and passes it back. No, LeBron passing you. You had a wide open 3. You faked the guy and then you... I'm like, I hope it's a trend because we got the news that Anthony Davis is going to be gone for another 2 weeks. So what? You talked about, well, they got a break. They played Friday night and they didn't play again till Monday. But guess what they got? They got Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, Friday night, Sunday. You okay with that, Skip? They got 5 games in 6 days. You good with that, Skip?
Well, after you got 3 weeks
Nah,
off.
you good with that now, Skip? You up there complaining. You don't call the commissioner. You don't call Adam Silver. What's going on with Bron? He's getting all the breaks. I can't have him win the MVP.
Well, they're trying to hand him the MVP.
Oh, my goodness. How they tried to hand him the MVP, Skip?
Well, now Joel Embiid's trying to hand him the
What did LeBron do with that? I told you availability. That's why I took Yoke. But anyway, I like what I'm seeing, Skip. Hopefully he can continue to play at this. Because what? Now we don't know. Gasol's out. So the bench is the guys are gonna have to play extremely well. You're gonna have to get valuable minutes. He's gonna have to give you, 25. He's gonna have to give you 30 minutes. They're gonna bump that up. How many minutes did he play the other night? He played 30 minutes. Okay. You're gonna give us 8 of 18. You're gonna give us 11, 13 rebounds. Okay, I can live with that. I can live with 24 and 13.
Yep. So, I have always from the start been a much bigger Kuzma fan than you are.
Yes, you have.
I have believed from the start he had a closer's mentality. He is a fearless shooter. Nothing seems to bother him. No shot is too big for him. He'll take it. I'm not saying he's going to make every one, but he shoots every one like he thinks he's made it. And this was, speaking of extraordinary, what a comeback this was. They're down 8 to the Pacers at Staples on Friday
the Pacers
night.
just beat the Suns. Blew them out.
And Brogdon is, again, just out of his mind. You can't stop him. And it's not that you're not defending him because they were. He just was having one of those nights.
Right.
And I thought, man, you're sunk at home again. You're going to lose yet another home game without Anthony Davis. And guess who showed up? Kyle Kuzma. He didn't just show up. He showed completely out.
Yeah, he did.
He scored 15 in the fourth quarter. 15, and had 4 more rebounds just in the fourth quarter alone. And all of a sudden, if we could see those 2 threes one more time that he made, he makes one with 6:33 to go. This finally gave them the lead. Just shoots it.
What about that pass? How was that pass?
Good pass. That's
what about
what he
the
does
skip?
best.
What about that right there?
Okay, he shot that, and he starts just dancing on his tiptoes because he knows it's good. And that gave them a 4-point cushion at 5:58. So those 2 threes were the 2 turning points of that night. So I've felt for Kuz because when AD came, it's like he tried to become the third wheel to those 2. And they didn't want any of it. You could just tell by their body language, we're a duo, not a trio. And he had to figure out, I'm not the third wheel, I'm actually the 6th wheel because I'm going to be the first one off the bench.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to do the dirty work.
But see, Skip, that's a role that's best for him because guess what? One of those guys are going to be off the floor, so now you get more opportunities. That's the way he has to look at it. Not like, man, I'm better than this, man. I should be. There are a lot of guys, Skip, that Jamal Crawford could have been a starter. Lou Williams could have been a starter. But he understood that I can be more of an asset in this role to this team than in a starring role. So he gets an opportunity to get shots because AD normally starts the second half, the second quarter on the bench.
Yep.
Or when LeBron, he's normally the first guy in for LeBron. So now he's going to get opportunity to get his shots. Where if he's playing alongside AD and LeBron, Skip, first, AD, LeBron, AD, Bron. Okay, Kuz, you want one? Okay, we give you one. That's how it works. But I love that he seems to embrace his role and realize, you know what? I don't just need to score 30 in order to help this team win. I can grab some rebounds. I can play defense.
I still say he is your closer. I've said that for 2 years.
It ain't true.
And you won't hear it.
It ain't true. Because it ain't true.
He closed that one.
Skip, you talking about one game. We don't play 40 games. He closed one. You talking about he the closer?
They won't give him a chance. Give him a chance. He will continue to seize this opportunity.
So in other words, he going to be the closer in front of LeBron and AD.
So LeBron played 9 minutes of that fourth quarter on Friday night, and he scored a grand total of 2 points. And he did have 4 assists because Kuz helped him in that department, but he took only 2 free throws, and he missed both of those, so he has 2 points, no free throws. There's no way you should win that game. And Kyle Kuzma scored 15 points. Kyle Kuzma hit those 2 threes and just took the game completely over from a hot team. That's who he is and what he can be and can do, but LeBron has to bless him. And he used a quote that I cannot utter here on television about how he was having, I'll just say, eye contact with LeBron. Sort of, I'll go as far. It's like you're having eye flirting with LeBron.
We're a little further.
A little further than that. I'd never heard that quote before. But the point was he was trying to tell LeBron, I got it. Just give me the ball.
Does he realize that Bron's an octopus as far as eyes?
Yep.
He's like an insect. He got 8 eyes.
He does.
He see you, bro.
I give you that.
When you doing all this flailing away, that's what happens. That's how sharks get you. You start flailing in the water of the surfboard. When they're in the paddleboard, shark look like that's an injured animal. Let me go take a bite out of it.
Yep.
What you do when you do all that flailing, you attract the defense. Don't do nothing. You can put your hands in your shorts. LeBron see you over there in the corner.
LeBron has seen him for 2 years and wouldn't give him the basketball for
Because he was doing what he said he was doing. LeBron, that's what he been doing up. That's what he been doing.
Okay.
So we couldn't pass him the ball because he was messing it up.
He's fearless. He has no conscience and no memory.
I need you to have some conscience. When we down by 3 points, I don't need you to come jacking up willy-nilly shots. How about that, Skip?
If LeBron would jack up his confidence and make it...
He on the team.
I got it, but LeBron has never made it his sort of mission in life. What's he doing with TNT, Clutch Client? Like, oh, he's special.
He's not, Skip,
you know,
he said it on several occasions. It seems like the game is slowing down for Kuz. He understands his role. He helped us to a championship. Skip, the greatest confidence LeBron can give you is you still on the team. After the trade deadline, the next season. That's the greatest compliment he can give you.
I was hoping they would trade him because he would come back to haunt you.
No, he wouldn't. We're traded right now for Bradley Beal.
Well, I'm sure.
We're traded right now for Bradley Beal.
Yeah, okay, fine. I don't think the Wizards will do that.
Give us Bradley Beal and let's see what happens.
Yeah.
We go head-to-head with the Nets. You want some of that?
No, but you should want Kuzma to be your closer.
No, Skip, stop saying
He is
that.
an underutilized, huge asset.
He is
for
not
this team.
underutilized.
Yep.
He's not the closer. How can you be a closer? Goat James is the closer. And then comes AD because we've seen him close before. Nobody is closed. Skip, I mean, those buzzer beaters. Do I? Hey, Jim, do we got them buzzer beaters that my guy hit in the playoffs? Nobody's hit more in the playoffs. Nobody has hit more playoff buzzer beaters than Goat James.
Nobody has remotely taken as many as Goat James.
Jordan.
It's ridiculous how many he's taken.
It's Skip. You know why we got to
He's
take him?
failed so many
Because we've been to 10 finals. Do you know how many playoff games that is?
Do you realize your man is the all-time worst at late-game free throw shooting? He's just the worst. Any star.
What we do, we don't let it come down to that.
Okay.
We don't let it come down to that.
Sometimes it's just going to come down to that. And I'd much rather have Kyle Kuzma taking that shot than LeBron taking that shot, especially if it's a free throw.
Well, it ain't going to be a free throw because they probably ain't going to call it. They don't give us free throw calls. You see how they be mugging LeBron out there and they won't give us no calls.
Well, he's still playing bully ball, and they're just saying, you're bigger and stronger than any of them. Just score it.
No, you told...
Just finish it.
No, hold on. That's not what you said. You said, LeBron, go to the basket and make him call the foul. He's doing that now. You tell him, don't call the foul, just score the basketball.
Well, some of them have that attitude, but he can still score it like crazy. He's still the best driver of the basketball I have ever seen and remains that to this moment.
He's also the best basketball player.
Not that I've ever seen.
Yeah, the best one you see right. He's the best one right now.
He's the 8th best I've ever seen.
Don't do that, Skip.
Yep.
Don't do that. That's so unbecoming of someone of your character. I can't believe you would actually do that.
I'll take the man you grew up loving the most over LeBron.
No, you won't. No, you won't. No, you won't.
The other day.
No, you won't.
Larry Bird's better than LeBron.
I don't know.
And you want to talk about late game
Best?
shooting and free throw? Oh, Lord.
Skip, everybody knows LeBron James is regarded universally as the greatest small forward ever. That's we don't even debate that. Now, we can debate the GOAT. You want to debate, you said he's not, I said he is. Now, we can debate the GOAT. But when it comes to small forwards, there is no debate.
Was Bird a small forward or a big forward?
He was a small forward. McHale played the four.
Hale kind of played center.
What
for
was
them
Robert
also.
Parrish?
They were kind of like twin towers.
Yeah, they had triple towers.
Yep.
6'9", 6'10", 7 foot.
Yep.
All right, we got the Lakers in my mind. And Skip, you got a little Lakers purple going today. I like that color
Yeah, you know.
on you. It works for
Yeah.
you.
It's
Just
all
saying.
for Kyle Kuzma.
Okay,
the closer.
all for
Why you
Kuzma.
put the Flippers colors on? We're going to talk about the Flippers a little later.
Just a little bit later.
That's why they're still in the basement.
Discussion.
Where?
No mercy.
One of the toughest and most beloved boxers of the modern era, former undisputed middleweight champ, marvelous Marvin Hagler, died Saturday at age 66. A 1993 inductee to the International Boxing Hall of Fame, Hagler defended his undisputed middleweight title 12 times from 1980 to 1987. The final bout of Hagler's professional career against longtime rival Sugar Ray Leonard in 1987 was a 12-round thriller, which Leonard won by split decision, remaining one of the most disputed results to date. So, Shannon, I start with you here. How will you remember him?
The ferocity in which he fought. Sometimes, Skip, I look at my age and I say, damn, I see all this, what's going on now. I said, man, sometimes I wish I was 25 or 30. I said, but no, then I would have missed things like Marvin Hagler. I would have missed Bird Magic matchups. But I'm old enough to remember when this man fought. And he fought in a time, and he fought in the division. Skip, they had him, they had Tommy Hearns, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, they had Iran Barkley, they had John Mugabe, Mustafa Hamsho. They were loaded in that division.
The first four were called the Four Kings.
Yes, just like the heavyweight division in the 70s with Ali, Frazier, Foreman, Ken Norton, all those guys, Skip. That's what it was. And this man fought everybody. And I was reading his background, Skip. His first title fight, it was a draw. He felt he won. And he put it in his mind. He says, I'm not going to leave it up to the judges. He went to every fight to destroy you.
He did.
He worked up in his mind. Skip, it wasn't for no selling, no fight. Mm-hmm. He sincerely disliked everybody that he fought. And he fought out of a southpaw stance.
Yep.
And people are like, well, why didn't he get... I think back then, Skip, what happened, boxing was great. And they really loved guys that went to the Olympics and won. Sugar Ray Leonard went to the Olympics and won. Ali, Joe Frazier, George Foreman. All those guys were, this guy came out of Brockton, Mass.
Yep.
And he fought, Skip, the Tommy Hearns fight.
Yep.
Is as good a fight you're going to see. I don't know if you'll ever see a fight that action-packed and guys landed. I don't know how he stood with what Tommy Hearns was hitting him with. And they almost stopped the fight because Tommy Hearns split his forehead open.
In the first round, he did.
Tommy Hearns had dynamite in that right hand. Mm-hmm. And
they called him the hitman.
Hagler walked through him. Mm-hmm. And he was so disgusted that he lost, he believed that he won. I think he won the fight also, Skip, that he said, I'm done.
With Leonard.
With Sugar Ray Leonard. He never fought again.
Yep.
But Skip, he fought everybody. And he ran through Mugabe. He fought Roberto Duran. You UD'd him. And everybody know what Roberto Duran. A lot of guys, who they had? Roy Jones Jr. Mm-hmm. He talks about Duran and how tough he was. Right. He talks about Tommy Hearns and said Hagler walked through him. And he's not only was he a fighter, Skip, he's a boxing savant. Mm-hmm. He said that guy right there had a chin that was undeniable. And when he got into the ring, Skip, he wasn't trying to go to the scorecard. He was trying to get you out. He put pressure. That's one thing about you. You get no boo, yay, fight. There was none of that with this guy. Because when they rung that bell, he was trying to ring your bell.
Yep.
And he's going to be sorely missed. Like I said, I got an opportunity to see him fight. And that's what, Skip, when we say, oh, he's a fighter, these guys are boxing. They box now.
Yep.
These guys were fighters. They fought. It wasn't no feeling, Skip, it wasn't no feeling out. I use a round or two to feel the guy out. Okay, I'm going to see what he's going to do. He came to throw them 8-ounce gloves, and he came to throw leather on people's head, and he got you out of the ring.
Mm. So to me, Marvin Hagler was the most intimidating boxer I ever saw, looking boxer. I'm talking about he was only 160 pounds, and he looked so much bigger than 160. His head looked
that
bigger.
Bald head?
He was ripped.
He was.
And he was, on top of all that, to your point, he was left-handed, which made it even more intimidating looking. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about intimidating beyond George Foreman at his nastiest, beyond Mike Tyson.
He was Mike Tyson at a lower weight than before Mike Tyson. That's it. That's who he reminds you of. If you watch him fight, that's who he was, 160-pound Mike Tyson.
He was scary looking and could back it up. And I covered most of all these big king versus king fights, except the one that I missed because I had qualified for the Boston Marathon was the Hagler-Hearns fight in Vegas at Caesars. So I ran the Boston Marathon on that Monday, and it was a Monday night fight, which is weird, but that's when it was. And I watched it on closed circuit TV at the hotel I was staying at, which is Hagler's stronghold in Boston. He's from Brockton,
yep.
Mass. So everybody was out of their minds in this hotel ballroom for Hagler. And that first round is simply the greatest first round I've ever seen. And there were a bunch of Ali Frazier great rounds.
You mean Hagler-Hearns or Hagler-Leonard?
Hagler-Hearns.
Yes.
It was just the greatest first round I've ever seen.
Yes.
That was in 1985. And to your point, Hagler took one overhand right and it split his scalp right up near his hairline. And it was gushing, man. It was gushing blood. And Richard Steele was the ref. And I thought, don't stop it.
The new Richard Steele would have stopped that fight.
Might have. But Hagler won that first round, I thought. And then he knew deep down, I got to knock him out.
Yep.
Because I don't know if Richard's going to let me finish this. So he got him in the third round. And it was all-time fisticuffs, man. It was throwing as hard as you can throw on both sides.
Toe-to-toe.
Hitman versus Marvelous. Whew. And finally, Hearns went down, tried to get up just before the count of 10, and he was just too wobbly, and Richard Steele said, that's enough. Then here came Sugar Ray Leonard, and he was the complete antithesis of Marvin Hagler. He was everybody's heroic middleweight to the villain that Hagler was becoming.
Yes.
And Hagler did not like it because he thought he was up against it politically against Sugar Ray, and he was.
Right.
Because Sugar Ray never looked like he even weighed 160. He looked wayfish at the middleweight.
Right.
And yet he knew how to box. He was your man Floyd before Floyd.
Yep.
He was that guy.
Yeah, he was a showman.
And
he had personality, what Hagler didn't have.
He had great charm. Listen, Marvin Hagler was a good interview because he was so forthright and just, he was so willing to try to tell you how he felt in the bottom of his heart.
Right.
But it wasn't entertaining and it wasn't charming.
There was no smiley. He didn't have George Foreman's smile. He didn't have Sugar Ray's personality.
Now, George didn't have a smile when he was George Foreman.
The first time around, George was...
No. He was brooding.
Yeah, but then he changed. But Sugar Ray was the '76 Olympic champ. He was on the Wheaties box.
Right.
Everybody loved Sugar Ray.
Everybody loved him, and I'll admit I loved him too. But he kind of took Marvin for a ride because, remember, 5 years before the fight that they finally fought in '87, Marvin thought they were going to fight.
Right.
And in fact, he went all the way to Baltimore for a televised event that he thought was the announcing of a fight.
Right.
And he was there as Sugar Ray announced, I'm gone. I'm retired.
Right.
And remember, he sat for, I think it was about 5 years ahead of this fight.
He did.
And it made both of them older fighters, 32. And here we went, and I was there at ringside, and I did think Ray won the fight. Now, maybe it's because I was a fan. But the problem with the judging that night was one ref had it 115-113 Ray. And one ref had it 115-113 Marvin Hagler.
Right.
And the other ref, named Jojo Guerra, had it 118-110 Sugar Ray Leonard. 118-110. Well, listen, I'm a big fan, and even there's no way he won that fight 118-110.
Yeah, he must have been watching Magnum P.I. Gunsmoke that night because he wasn't watching the fight. He was watching something else on his closed circuit TV right there, Skip.
What? And that's how Sugar Ray, quote unquote, won that fight.
Right.
Marvin has always insisted Ray will not allow this he will not acknowledge this publicly, but Marvin said, obviously to his dying day, that as they hugged in the middle of the ring after that fight, Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, that Sugar Ray said to him, "You beat me, man." And I believe Ray is capable of saying that. He's not capable of acknowledging it publicly, but I'll buy that.
Right.
Because I think deep down he felt like he had been beaten, but he also knew that he did everything in his power. Remember, he got the fight all his way. He got a ring that was 2 feet wider than usual, and he got 15 rounds versus 12 rounds. So he got every condition of the fight went Sugar Ray's way.
And that was a lot because even though he was away, Sugar Ray still was really the face, and Hagler was still going, and everybody talked about Sugar Ray, Sugar Ray, Sugar Ray. And it bothered Hagler that he never felt that he got the credit he deserved. He's undisputed champ for like 7 years. He took on all comers. And he never got the love or the adoration that they bestowed upon Sugar Ray.
Yeah.
And I believe that rubbed him the wrong way.
He just did. He said, I can't beat politics.
Right.
And I can't beat fandom. I can't beat that I'm the villain and he's the hero.
Right.
And so he just picked up and took off.
He moved in.
And remember, he went Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. If you've seen that movie, he went Leo DiCaprio. He went to Italy and started making spaghetti westerns.
Right.
He did? He did.
Yeah.
It's almost like Jim Brown quit at 30, 29 and just said, I'm going to go make movies, right?
It also rubbed him, Skip, that people would call, when he was introduced, they would say, and Sugar Ray Leonard. They would never say Marvelous. They would always call him Marvin Hagler. Yeah. So he got so upset, he changed his name to Marvelous Marvin Hagler, not Marvin Nathaniel Hagler. So because he's like, well, why y'all call him? He said, if y'all can call him Sugar Ray, I can call myself Marvelous.
Yeah.
Why won't y'all address me like y'all address him? His name, Mama didn't name him Sugar Ray. She named him Ray Leonard, but he called himself Sugar. Well, I want to be known as Marvelous.
Well, by the way, there had been a Sugar Ray Robinson who was all-time great all-time great.
Yes.
Some people think he was the greatest ever.
Yes.
Pound for pound.
And so, but Skip, this dude here, that was the golden age of boxing, Skip. Like you said, that was 15 rounds, and they put hands on each other. It wasn't no feeling each other out. That was in the 80s for that division, middleweight division, 160 pounds. It was like the 1970s heavyweight division when you had all those big heavyweights, and they had to fight each other, Skip.
Yep.
They had to fight each other. There was no ducking in. There wasn't all
they
this.
Just did.
They just.
Yeah.
But see, what happens, Skip, is that you get a guy that, like Floyd. Floyd was smart. Floyd got out to this 30-0 record, and then he could like pick and choose because guess what? He knew you was gonna buy because you wanted to see him lose. So that was the thing. I want to make sure I get a ringside seat, or I'm watching this because I want to say I saw Floyd Mayweather lose. He knew that. So he says, okay, that's what y'all want to pay to see? I give it to you. I fight once, twice a year. He never lost. And now he made $1 billion inside the ring with no endorsements. But back then, Skip, you had to fight.
Yep.
You had to fight. Can you imagine, Skip? Imagine you had 4 guys in Floyd Mayweather division that was almost just that, because that's what they were. Hagler, Hearns, him, Durant, and Leonard. They were right there. So you got 4 guys in Mayweather. Think about that.
Whew. Man. Rest in peace, marvelous Marvin Hagler.
He came to fight. Simple, wasn't a whole lot. Hey, bouncing up and down, Skip. He looked the part. He looked like a boxer guy come to do damage. And when he fought Hagler, Skip, he had the war. He said it's gonna be a war.
Yeah.
He made no bones about it. I ain't trying to be your friend, Hearns. I'm coming to hurt you, Hearns.
Well, as Ray once said, he punches like a heavyweight. And he did.
Wow, those are really special stories to hear from you guys. I appreciate you sharing. Obviously, we're thinking about Marvin and his family.
No mercy.
Well, Tom Brady and the Bucs agreed to a contract extension on Friday, adding another year while clearing up cap space for the rest of the team. The new contract saved Tampa $19 million in 2021 to help bring back more of their own free agents. And Brady shared a photo of himself signing the contract on Twitter, saying, quote, "In pursuit of 8, we're keeping the band together." So, Shannon, I'll ask you first. How much credit should Brady get for restructuring to keep the team together?
Well, it's not the restructuring that's bringing the players back. It's the fact that they're winning. Winning is what's doing this. Let me ask you a question. If Brady restructures and they're 5-11, is everybody signing back up for that? Absolutely not. So it's the fact that they're winning. It's not that he restructured his deal. All they did was add voidable years. If Brady didn't want to take his $17, $18, $19 million in a signing bonus right now, and then instead of getting 25, Skip, as far as base salary, and take 18, 19 million of it in a signing bonus, and then play for $6 million in base salary, getting the same thing, who knows, he might have got a little bit more, added on to the voidable years, Skip. So now we get to spread that over. We created, what, $17, $18 million in cap space. They just would have found someone else to say, hey, you want some money right now? Instead of waiting until the season starts, we'll give you $12 million. We'll give you $14 million right now. Who's gonna say, nah, man, I'm gonna wait till y'all start cutting them checks for me in September? Of course not. Look, I'm not saying Brady shouldn't be commended, but that's not the reason they're keeping this thing together. Shaq Barrett made it abundantly clear. I'm looking to break the bank. Well, Skip, more players would state, if I won the Super Bowl and my team is gonna give me the same amount of money that I'm gonna get in free agency, where I've been for the last 2 or 3 years, maybe even 5 years, my kids are enrolled in school, I've ingratiated myself to community. Yes, I'm staying. It's normally a situation, Skip, they don't have the money to pay a guy like Shaq Barrett who says, I'm gonna break the bank. Shaq's like, you mean to tell me y'all gonna give me 22, 23 million too? And I got a chance to win because Tom Brady's still coming back? Yeah, I'm gonna take that. But it's not the fact that Brady restructured. It's what Brady does. It's Brady's winning. That's the tail, Skip. That's the allure that makes guys want to stay there. They're winning, not Brady restructuring this deal, because there are 5 or 6 other guys like, yeah, I'll take a signing bonus right now. That'd be real good, Tampa.
Okay, but time out. This is a head scratcher for me.
Okay.
Because obviously I get what you're saying, but in the beginning, the reason that there's money to be passed around, to be divvied up, is starting off that the quarterback who arguably had the best year of any quarterback in pro football last year is going to count only $9 million against the cap. So I thought it was a bargain to get Dak at $22.2 million against the cap, as he makes $75 million next year. Brady only counts $9 million against the cap. That ranks 173rd in the whole league to date, and that's about to change and it's about to drop.
Well, Skip, let's just say for the sake of argument, his base salary is going to be $26 million. They say, what we'll do, Tom, we'll give you 20 of that in the form of a signing bonus. We're going to add 2 more boardable years. So now it's a 3-year deal. So you got this year plus 3 years. So now what we did is that we took that $20 million, we're going to prorate that over the 3 years. That's $7 million, $7 million, $7 million. So now they're like, okay, we good.
Okay, but that contributes to winning because it helps them keep, as Brady said yesterday, the band together, right? If he won't do that, if he says... If
you just go to Mike Evans, you go to JPP.
Okay, but if he goes the Dak Prescott route and says, I deserve my money here. I deserve at least $40 million, my God. I mean, Tom Brady, think about this. Last year, Tom Brady was ranked by Pro Football Focus in the regular season second best to Aaron Rodgers. Second best. In the postseason, he was graded number 1 overall. So first and second in the regular season. That would add up to, you could argue, if you brought in somebody who knew nothing about pro football or history or whatever, and you'd say, who deserves the most money? Well, they'd say, well, that guy does, that Brady guy. He deserves by far the most money. So he probably deserves $50 million. He is, to your point, taking 26 total million, but he doesn't even need it next year. It won't be paid until the following year. Okay? That allowed them to keep Levante David, right? He got a nice deal. And he deserved an even better deal. But he said, no state income tax. And to your point, yeah, I get to play with Tom Brady and we get a chance to win it again. Well, that mattered. As Levante David said a couple days back, he said, the bond that we had was like no other. Well, it was, and it started with that guy who came from New England and brought that Patriot way to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, well, Skip, that's what normally happens when you win, especially when you haven't won. Levante David had never been to the playoffs since he's been in Tampa, and he's played really well, some really good football. Now now you get an opportunity to see just how good a football player that he is, Skip, because he's on a Super Bowl winning team. He's going to be on TV even more. You and I know we follow football. We watch football. We watched him. We knew Levante David was a good player. I knew Devin White was a good player after I watched him at LSU. He's a hell of a player.
I didn't know he was that good.
I thought he should have went to the Pro Bowl. I was like, hold on.
Definitely.
How did a guy do what he did and not make the Pro Bowl? Maybe it was a year, maybe they make you wear the year, Skip. But let's be real now. Let's not pretend like Coach Belichick didn't surround Brady with talent. It might not have been flashy names, but Coach Belichick went to 9 Super Bowls as a head coach, but he was also the GM.
Okay.
So Tom Brady we're not going to give Coach Belichick no credit?
No, I'll give him credit, but I don't think Brady gets nearly enough credit for always taking way below market value from day one in New England.
Well, he was a 6th-round pick, Skip.
Okay?
I mean, he got...
No, when he after he won a Super Bowl, and now they're going to redo.
They redid it.
Okay.
But, Skip, he still had years. He had like 2 years still left on the contract.
Okay, but there's that recent Scott Pioli story.
Yeah.
And he was then, I guess, call him the GM of the Patriots.
Right.
And he's negotiating with Don Yee, Brady's agent, for that first big restructure that they did. Or it's not even, it's just a redo.
Right.
He won the Super Bowl. And he said that Brady intervened and said, enough is enough. I don't need any more money. I'm sorry. And he undercut his agent's position and said, no, I'll just take that. That's enough. Okay, well, who does that?
Right. Okay, I'm going to get Skip. I'm going to give him credit for that. That's his, but I don't believe because someone else did X, all the other players should be forced to do Y. And that's what happened in New England. Because Brady was willing to take less, everybody else was forced to take less, or you couldn't be there. So a lot of guys left. And so because what did Darryl Reeves said? He's like, when he tried to negotiate his deal, he said, well, Tom only makes this. We can't pay you more than Tom.
And Ninkovich said that also. He said, well, they just kept saying, well, look at the quarterback.
Exactly. Tom makes this, Tom makes this. But he also suppressed the market around the league. Because if Tom would have got market value, Skip, the quarterback market might be $55 million right now. Because, you know, if he gets his fair market value.
I agree. So, again, for him, after winning a Super Bowl at $25 million, to say, okay, for the next year, I'll take $26 total million in my restructure, but I don't need that money until 22.
Right.
Now, they're going to have to pay the piper a little bit down the line.
Skip, what they're doing is they're kicking the can down the road.
Yep.
That's all. And a lot of teams, you know, and Tampa say, you know what, we're willing to be in salary cap hell in 2023, 2024 if we get 1 or 2 more to get another Super Bowl. So if we get 2 Super Bowls, Skip, and we got to spend 2 years in salary cap hell, it's worth it.
Okay.
Because all it is, you just kick the can down the road. It's like that balloon payment on the interest-only loan.
But you're going back to the old cliche about which comes first, the chicken or the egg. And you're saying the egg comes first because winning is making the chicken look better. Not that I'm comparing Tom Brady to a chicken. It would be the last animal I would want to compare him to. Right. But the point is, it's the oldest cliche. Well, the chicken comes first to me because he's the one saying, no, I'll take less. And then you can have the eggs that get made because we have a better chance to make better eggs.
Well, I mean, didn't the chicken come from the egg?
Well, that's why that's almost mind-boggling to try to debate that question.
The chicken came from the egg, so
well,
it happened.
But the chicken had to be created. I'll go all the way to God had to create the chicken first, right?
Well, maybe he said, okay, here's the egg, here's the chicken. Chicken, you sit on the egg. We go from there. But Skip, I will say this, is that at this juncture, and I guess since Brady won the 3rd Super Bowl, he understood that money was not how he was going to be judged. That winning was the only thing that's going to be his determinant. Because once you get to that level, Skip, regular season and touchdowns and this and that doesn't matter. Because Brady's only, if he doesn't win the Super Bowl, he had a bad year. That's what happens when you become that great, Skip. That's like Jordan. You don't win the championship, you Magic and Bird and LeBron. You don't win the championship, you had a bad year. I don't care what else you done. He was the MVP. Yeah, he had this many triple doubles. Yeah, he threw for 5,000. What did he win? Because that's what that's the bar that Tom Brady has cleared.
Yeah. Well, at 43, he just won his 7th Super Bowl with a brand new team and coaching staff in a pandemic year.
He's gone to as many Super Bowls after the age of 37 than any player in NFL history. He's gone to 5 since the age of 37.
And his MO has been always pay me less.
I mean, you can pay me less too if I'm, making $100 million.
But he's not making $100 million. You can argue his wife does, but that's a whole nother issue.
But he's doing good. He's doing good.
But LeBron,
but that's where he is
we
now,
always
Skip.
go back and forth about LeBron. He makes God knows how much money off the court.
He don't make that much.
Well, he does make that much. And Spring Hill is just dominating Hollywood.
And Savannah says she need a new house, so he got to make that much.
That's fine. I got it. But he always insists on pay me the max. And I'm sure the Players Association says, way to go, LeBron.
Skip, we're trying to buy a team. We can't buy a team taking minimum salary. We're trying to get a team. It's going to cost us, by the time we turn around, it's going to cost us about $2.5 billion.
Okay. By the time you buy a team, Tom Brady might have won his 12th Super Bowl.
Well, he ain't gonna be no owner. We're gonna have 6 rings and gonna be the owner of a team.
6 rings?
And be the owner of a team. Rings, teams.
Unless Kyle Kuzma wins you.
Don't do that, Skip. Don't do that.
Oh,
don't
you're
do
gonna
that.
put on Kuzma right now? after one performance? Okay.
No mercy.
In a recent podcast appearance, NFL analyst Greg Cosell said that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Russell Wilson at this point in time. He said, quote, "I think the tape shows that. I know the tape shows that." Dak's own playoff win came against Wilson and the Seahawks. So, Shannon, question is to you, is he better?
Hell no. I don't know what Greg Cosell watches, Skip. He must be watching a foreign feature. He needs subtitles or something. Because ain't no shape he watching that where it's going to say Dak Prescott better than Russell Wilson. And I know Russell stumbled down the stretch, but he still threw 40 touchdowns. Russell is a top five quarterback. And he saw that after what? Dak played 5 games? So after 5 games, he said Russell played better than Russell Wilson. His 5 games versus Russell's first 5 games, Dak was better than Russ? Nah, I don't get that, Skip. And for the first half, he was the MVP. Russell Wilson was the MVP, Skip. Russell Wilson was the MVP. And then he started slipping away from him. We had Mahomes. He brought Mahomes into the mix. He brought Aaron Rodgers. Josh Allen ended up getting into the mix. But for the first 8 games, Russell Wilson was the MVP of the season.
Got it.
And now he says Dak is going to be a better quarterback coming off an injury. That I don't know about all this with Skip. Look, I get it. I think Dak is a good quarterback. But Dak's not better than Russell Wilson.
Got it. So, Greg Cosell is a longtime friend of mine. I've known him forever. And I respect him and I admire his vision of quarterback play in the NFL. He's a regular on Colin's show, which obviously follows us here on FS1. And yet, he lost me on this one also. But he's not alone in that kind of assessment of Dak Prescott. I'm with you. You can look hard at Russell's last 11 games last year.
Right.
And he was second in the NFL in turnovers over the last 11.
Right.
He led the league in taking sacks over the last 11 games. Partly his fault, to your point. You know, he's trying to throw the home run, hold on to the ball, try to make a play because he was desperate to make plays because what was the MO? Let Russ cook.
Yep.
And Russ would sometimes cook his own offense. And yet, this is not an unusual take to me because somehow, over the last 2 years, during which Dak Prescott has been embroiled in a contractual impasse with Gerald Wayne Jones Jr., the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, who is, to me, the biggest, easiest target in all of sports. Most people don't want to like Jerry. You know Jerry a little. I know him very well. It's hard not to
It's hard not to like him, though.
Like, if you know him, it's just hard not to.
It is.
Right. But he is a big, easy target, and I think the world was rooting for Dak to take Jerry to the cleaners, and in the end, he did. Well, somehow, during those 2 years, Dak's popularity exploded. Obviously, he's got lots of national TV commercials, but his mystique, his profile also grew over the last 2 years in ways that shocked me because, again, over his career, dating back to his junior year at Mississippi State, nobody in the world has more publicly applauded and defended Dak Prescott than I have. But it was getting harder to defend him through, as you well know, the 2019 season because I just can't back it up. The first 3 games were off the chart sensational, and you said all 3 games were against garbage opponents, right?
Yeah.
Too many empty calorie type yards.
Right.
And then all of a sudden that's when the impasse set in because Jerry had said it's imminent that we're going to sign Dak after the opener, and then all of a sudden, here we went because obviously that's the point where Dak and his new agent at that point, Todd France, said, no, it's this.
Skip, what is it that last? Look, he's got his contract now, and I get it. Maybe a lot, and I agree with you. A lot of people are lobbying for Dak to get paid, considering that he had played so many years on a minimum contract, outperformed that contract, and Dallas hadn't redid the deal. So I get a lot of people was rooting for him.
Yep.
But over the last 2 years, you see people start, well, I don't know, he's as good as Russ. He's better than Russ. I put him with Deshaun. He's right there, tick below Mahomes, Rodgers, and Brady. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Damn. I get you want the guy to get his money, and maybe Jerry's listening, but come on now.
How many Blue Mondays did I have having to come in here and deal with you through 2019.
Yeah.
At New Orleans, remember that? At Jets, you definitely remember that one. At New England, at Chicago, at Philadelphia, the home games against Green Bay and Buffalo. And I'm just hitting the tips of the iceberg.
And think about, Skip, how many times we've come in here over the last 3 years where Russell had to pirouette, run 15 yards backwards, come 15 yards forward, throw the ball down the field to get a touchdown.
Yep.
We said they won this game. If Russell is not Russell, if Russell's not great, Skip, we don't say that about that. I mean, for the most part, when things go haywire, they look bad. They look bad. Yeah. Now, it's going to be incumbent upon Dak. Now, he's got his money. He has his security. He can throw caution to the wind. It's going to be on him, not Skip, to prove that, okay, you've been wanting this money. You got it. Okay, now what you going to show for it?
Okay. So what happened early this year to Dak Prescott? Opening game at Rams, new stadium. I thought he played great in that game, but they lost. Then we go, let's do at Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
He just didn't play that well.
No.
They had a chance at the end of the game, and he could not come up big at the end of the game.
They really should have been 0 for 3. They should have started the season 0 3.
Then the Atlanta game at home, they're down 29-10.
Oh, that was the second game. The Seattle was the second game.
Yeah, I couldn't remember which way it went.
Yeah.
But the point is, they were so fortunate. It was miraculous that they pulled out the Atlanta game. And Dak was tremendous in the third and fourth quarter.
Right.
Then came Cleveland. They're behind 40-14 in the fourth quarter. 40-14, and as you always say to me, did Dallas have the ball?
Yeah, they had the ball. Yeah, several times. And did nothing with it. That's how they got behind.
With it. And then he threw for 254 yards just in the fourth quarter and put up a lot of empty calorie yards, and they still got pretty much.
And see what happens if you don't watch the game, you just look at the box score. You're like, man, Dak threw for 474 yards and 3 touchdowns?
Wow.
Yeah, but 254 of those yards came in the fourth quarter when they were down by 4 touchdowns.
Then came that fateful Giants game at Jerry World, and they fell behind 17-3 to a team that they were significantly favored to beat at that point. And Dak brought them back, but I don't know. Did he play better than Russell for the first 5? No, he didn't.
No.
And what did I propose?
Did he play better than Russell the previous year? No, he didn't.
No, he did not. Definitely not the previous year.
You're right.
So it got so dark for me that I thought, hey, if Russell's got a problem in Seattle, and Dak definitely has an impasse with Jerry, what did I tell you? If they would trade problems,
swap them.
Would I take Russell? Yeah.
Yeah, I bet you would.
Yeah, would I? Sure. He's more mobile than Dak, and he has a bigger arm than Dak does. Russell's got a huge arm.
Yeah.
Home run arm.
I don't know what it means. I mean, the guy, all he does is win. He wins.
He's won a bunch of games, and he's won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
He's done a lot of big things.
Yeah, he should be a 2-time face to Pete Carroll. Stop Russ from being a 2-time Super Bowl champ.
You could make the case.
Okay, well, I need to put that on tape. That's on tape. Russ Super Bowl win is on tape. Dak need to get me one of them, and then we'll revisit it.
Yep.
But I'm not saying Dak isn't a good quarterback. I just don't see him as being good as Russ.
The mystique has grown, and then
and he hasn't played in a year.
I know. And then I looked up going into this past year, and he's third in the MVP odds, and then this year he's all the way up to fourth in the MVP, and I'm like, where did that come from?
At least you can say, okay, well, they got Amari Cooper, offensive line come back intact. Okay, yeah, they lost Travis Frederick, but okay. But now he's coming back off a broken ankle, and he's fourth.
He's fourth. And I look at the big picture of this, and I say, well, wait a second. Off what? Because you look at the yards, he is now, in his last 17 starts, Dak is 6-11.
Right.
6-11. Mm-hmm. Well, how's he going to win MVP if you can't win the games? You can throw for all those yards, but if they're not going to matter to the voters after midseason if you're not winning games.
Yeah, you're probably going to have to be 12-4, 13-3.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time we had an 11-5 guy that won the MVP. You look at the last couple, you look at Lamar, what are they, 14-2. Patrick Mahomes, 13-3. I just don't see, Skip, I don't see you cannot go in 9-7, 10-6 and win an MVP. No. You can get that thought out your head.
Okay. So we saw that his rookie year.
Right.
Took over for Romo, fourth-round pick out of nowhere. Zeke took over the league. You had a at least top 5 offensive line
Oh,
at
absolutely.
that point?
Skip,
Maybe a top 2 or 3.
They were number 1 in time of possession.
Yeah.
So what they do? They minimized the defense being on the field because that was the weak link. They
Yep.
wore you down,
Yep.
time of possession, run the football, and then guess what? They got the ball back late in the ball game,
Yep.
and they had a slim lead.
Yep.
You couldn't get it back from them.
And
Pittsburgh.
Shannon Sharpe called him Dink and Dak.
Yeah, I mean, he done changed. I mean, you know, he upgraded his resume. But he ain't better than Russ.
Not yet.
No mercy.
Zion Williamson has scored more points in his first 60 NBA games than any other player since Michael Jordan. And he was unstoppable last night, scoring 27 points in the Pelicans' 135-115 win over the Clippers, who have lost 5 of their past 7 games. And after the game, Kawhi said his team's lack of consistency is, quote, very concerning. That came from Kawhi. So, Shannon, are the Clippers overrated right now?
Yeah, being overrated.
Oh.
Why? Well, hold on, wait a minute. That's Doc's fault. Because, you know, Doc was running, had Paul George playing like he was Ray Allen.
Yeah.
And, you know, he needed, do a better job. And Kawhi said, we need coaches to put us in better situations. So the inconsistency. Now, this is what I know. Doc Rivers, they got Doc Rivers out of there thanks to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. They did not give him their blessing to return. Steve Ballmer made the decision. He let Doc go, inserted Ty Lue. Now, the same things that happened last year, that happened in the playoffs last year, that are happening now. With Doc gone, I want to know who's in problem. Now, you keep telling me Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, whoa, they play defense. Now, I need to know which one of them guarded Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart, or Jackson Hayes. Because all those guys, Skip, with 7 minutes left in the ball game, they were shooting 72% from the floor. Nobody shot less than 50% that played more than 20 minutes. Now, that's with the greatest duo since Pip and Jordan on the wing. Zion Williamson, 13 of 16. Brandon Ingram, 7 of 12, 3 of 6 from 3. Lonzo Ball, 7 of 10, 5 of 8 from 3. Josh Hart, 3 of 4 from 3, 5 of 6. Wow, what's going on, Skip? You blame Doc. It was Doc Rivers' fault. So I hold Doc responsible as he's coaching in Philly, got them playing well.
Yeah.
I blame Doc for this. Who can they blame now, Skip? As Ty Lue said last night, we got to stop effing talking about it and do it. All that guy do on the left is talk. We need consistency. We need smarter players. Well, we need the players to play better. Ooh, all right. Hey, Jim.
Tell me when it's my turn.
I just want to show you a thing.
Please?
Jim.
Is it my turn?
Jim. 911, what's your emergency? I like to report an assault. Do you know the perpetrator? Yes, his name is Jackson Hayes. Is he still on the premises? Yes, he is. Hurry before he do it again. He gonna do it again. He did it. Bang! On his head. On his head.
Tell me when it's my turn.
Your turn.
Please.
I'm going to borrow one of your lines and use it against you. And it's the internet's favorite line.
What did it do?
I want that same energy when the Clippers run the Lakers right into the basement when the playoffs come.
Okay.
I want that energy.
Okay, you gonna
I
get
want it right here when it happens.
Y'all not gonna
Because
play
it's
us.
going to happen. Right now, you are scared to death. You are beating your chest over one game. One game
Y'all
in
lost
March.
5.
One game.
Y'all done lost 5 or 6.
Yeah, they're in the mid-season doldrums. Okay, here we go. My turn. First of all, I didn't watch all this game because I watched the first 3 quarters, and then I flipped over to the Grammys just in time to see Beyonce make history. So I was happy I at least got to see
You got
that.
more than one TV. Stop talking about you flipped over.
I can't watch 2 things that are in different ilks, like the Grammys and the game. I can't keep my mind on both of them. I wanted to see the Clippers against Zion and company because I have been telling our producer, Azzy, for 1 month, talk to him every night. He talks to you every night. I've been telling him for 1 month, we've got to do something on the Pelicans because they are quitting on Stan Van Gundy. I told you when he was hired, wrong man, wrong place, wrong time. This team is so much better than they're now 7 after they won last night. They're 17-22. They came into this game 16-22. That is pathetic because this team is loaded. And last night, for reasons nobody will ever explain, it unloaded on the Clippers at New Orleans in the first quarter. It was 36-24 after a quarter because Lonzo Ball, who has turned into a player, hit 3 threes threes and 3 tries in the first quarter. And what did he go? 5 of 8 for the
5 of
game.
8.
And he scored 20 points and he had 8 rebounds. He is a player. And all Zion did last night was, as usual, go 13 of 16. He leads this whole league in shooting percentage at 62%. And that's among 97 players who have taken 350 or more shots so far this year. 62% is outrageously great. And last night, it looked like they finally figured something out. How about let Zion occasionally dribble the ball up the floor? Because in high school, he was a point guard. Let him dribble it, let him attack, let him create havoc, which he did. And here's the point. Now to my team, the Clippers. Would you realize there was one man missing that was a glaring loss last night?
Oh, sorry.
Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley. Here's the record. They had it during the telecast last night. Without him, this team has gone 17 and 18 in his years with the Clippers. With him, this team has gone 105 and 53. 105. So they're 52 games over 500 with him. They're 1 game under 500 without him, and it doesn't surprise me a bit. He is the lifeblood of this team. He is the fire starter. He is the catalyst. He is the energizer. He is the spirit and the guts of this team, and they feed off his presence. And he was not there last night.
Where was he at?
Well, he's hurt. And
Again?
yeah, he's been hurt.
When did he get hurt? Fall out of bed? Because he don't play no defense.
Okay. Well, that's what you. Yeah, I need you to keep that same energy. Okay. Keep piling it on because we got a long ways to go.
Hold on.
Long ways to go.
Hold on. We were just out here last week, and you was talking about Chris Broussard, and you was talking about Paul George.
Yep.
Talk about Paul George. What did he do last night?
Last night, he went a grand total of 1 of 8 from 3.
What?
He's been in a funk slump.
Huh.
And yet,
Interesting.
which team, help me out, Mr. Sharpe, you know the NBA inside and out. Which team now leads the NBA in three-point shooting and free throw shooting? Which team could that be? It's that team, the Clippers.
That fourth in the West?
It's the Clippers.
Where'd that get you? You should at least be third, the top 2, top 3.
Hold on just a second. The Lakers are 24th in three-point shooting and 25th in free throw shooting. 24th and 25th versus 1 and 1. And you're not afraid?
And we got a better record, and we playing without our second best player. Y'all playing without you over there crying about y'all playing without Patrick Beverley.
This was actually a game at New Orleans last night at halftime, and then Serge Ibaka's back tightened up and he couldn't go. He is Serge Ibaka. He is better than Montrezl Harrell, and he's made the Clippers better. They are much deeper than they were a year ago, and this is just one of those games where the home team suddenly flipped the switch.
I'm looking at all these guys that came off the bench. Mars Sr., minus 14. Lou Williams, minus 13. Ibaka, Zubac, minus 13. Ooh, Kawhi was minus 26. Paul George, minus 20. All these minuses. Is that good? If you negative, is that good? They must have been playing golf. Because if you minus 26 in golf, that's good. That's record pace. But they're playing basketball, so negative is not good.
Luke Kennard made 3 of 4 threes. When has LeBron ever done that?
We won.
Amir Coffey made 3 of 5 threes?
Wow. Skip it garbage time. Zion was in the shower. Zion was in the po' boy. He had to beat y'all so bad he in the po' boy on the sideline.
He was having a smoothie king.
Yeah. Skip, I need you guys to come on now.
Yeah.
Because you can't scapegoat Doc. You can't scapegoat Doc.
I love this team. I like it more than I did last year. I'll take Ty Lue over Doc right now, and I'm the biggest Doc fan, but they needed a new voice in the locker room, and they got one. And you're going to got.
You got a new voice, and you got the same results. New voice, same results.
Keep the same
Clippers are
energy
coming
you
for
just
you.
had for this one. For our next debate.
No mercy.
LeBron has seen increased playing time since Anthony Davis went down with an injury in early February. And Frank Vogel says he's looking to find ways to reduce the Kings' minutes, including a new lineup change that is supposed to help. Vogel said, quote, "It's something that we looked at and we liked it going into the break. We decided we were going to stick with it and see how it looked." He was able to come back in fresh and close the game out. So Shannon, I know you're watching it very closely. Is this the right move?
Well, I like it, Skip. Normally, LeBron closes out the third. He starts the fourth, and then he'll play about 6 minutes. He'll take about a 2 or 3 minute break, 4 minute break if he can, and then he comes out. But if you notice, He didn't finish the third, and he started the fourth on the bench. And so he ends up playing 34 and a half minutes. Yeah, 34, a little less than 34 and a half minutes. And that's kind of where they want to keep him, Skip. It had started to creep up, 38 minutes, 39 minutes, those double overtime games. I think they had, 3 overtime games, 1 double overtime. Mm-hmm. You start playing 46, 47 minutes, 43 minutes, 41 minutes, and what was normally you playing 33 minutes, all of a sudden, that's heading north to where you don't want it to go. So this is something that I think Frank Vogel and the coaching staff, they sought LeBron, they said, LeBron, check this out. This is what we want to do. We understand that you're going to play every game. You want to play every game. We want you to play every game. But if we can find a way to steal a minute here, to steal 2 minutes there, and have you still play these games, be in the game late in the ball game to close these ball games, what do you think that? And I think Bron was amenable to that, and that's where we are. Don't think that they did this something willy-nilly and LeBron wasn't in cahoots with this. Yes, this is what's best for the team. And old GOAT James, he did, he did score a bunch of points, but them pinpoint darts that he was throwing all over the field.
2 points in the fourth quarter. He must
did we win the game?
I guess he ran out of gas. I don't know.
We went out of gas. Skip, we only took 1 shot. Stop that.
So, just 2 weeks back, I heard your man, LeBron James, say in a post-game interview, and I'm going to quote him exactly, I don't get tired.
Okay.
Period, end of story. Then he went on to say, I spend like $2 billion a year on my fitness, something like that. I don't know. You don't think they all spend X dollars?
No, they don't.
I do.
They don't spend it like he does.
I think the top ones spend as much. And yet it's just a runaway train. It's like a myth has been made that
kind of like Tom. Kind of like Tom Brady.
Yep.
Kind of like Tom Brady. So he's the only one that has a personal trainer.
Well, don't put LeBron and Tom Brady's.
I put GOAT over of hair in front.
Yeah, okay. So this is also the same LeBron who said, I think it was last year, but he went third person on himself. Like LeBron, he said, does not load manage. But then we saw him game before the break, Sacramento.
One game, Skip.
He load managed.
One game.
Did it not qualify
one
as
game.
load managed?
That is, Skip, one game.
Watch Kawhi Leonard. They play at Dallas tonight. You think he'll play? Yes, he will.
It's about time.
Yep.
That man, Skip, come on. The dude barely got 10,000 points, been in the league 10 years.
So the point is LeBron just coming to his senses and admitting he does get tired and he does get worn down after those. Remember, after like the second of those those overtime games, I looked up one morning and LeBron James had played more minutes than anybody in the whole league. This is pretty late in the first half of this season.
Right.
That's absurd. What are you trying to do? That's like,
win.
Quote unquote, suicidal.
We're trying to win. Skip, look here.
Trying to win?
We understand. Look, Ferraris, Lambos can go 180, 200 miles an hour. That don't mean you should drive them full bore the entire time, right? So that's what we do with LeBron.
I don't get tired, he said.
Skip, just because something can go continuously doesn't mean that it should. You can leave the lights on. But to conserve, that's what we do. What we do. Click, we cut it off. So to conserve, so we can bust your head, so I can have that same energy when we play you.
You better have
that's what I will have.
Because you won't.
Yes, I will.
You'll come in here skulking.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know what's gonna happen is somebody gonna bust you up again before you get to us because all your mind is set on beating us.
I think you, just in our previous topic, I think you predicted the Clippers are gonna get beaten in the first round, right?
Y'all ain't gonna get to the Western Conference Finals. That's what I'm saying.
You are getting?
You not.
Oh,
we
not
are.
getting.
Yeah,
really?
we are. You're not.
Wow. How many cases on?
Nope, I ain't give you no cases.
Okay, thank you.
All I know is that we're gonna be the Western Conference representative.
So finally, as I keep pounding the table for over here, LeBron James woke up and came to his senses and said, I'm in year 18 and I am 36 years of age, which in sort of NBA dog years, that's like 56.
You know what that means, right? That just, because we cut down the minutes, that just increased our MVP odds by 10%.
Okay, well, maybe so. Maybe it should. and don't give me Frank Vogel saying, no, you didn't come up with.
Yeah, we didn't. Frankie V.
Nothing.
He's the coach. That's what we do.
LeBron James is the coach of this team.
No, he's not.
You can just watch the games. If you just eye test the games, LeBron comes and goes as he chooses.
Frankie V.
No, he does not. It's just a little nod to the sideline. Okay, I'm ready.
Skip. That's always, see, why you do this?
Well, you know what? I'm not condemning him. I'm congratulating. He has earned the right to take himself in and out of games.
So Michael didn't have that luxury.
Sure he did.
Okay, so what's the problem? Kobe had that luxury.
Although, I will give you this. Phil Jackson had much more control over Michael than Frank Vogel has over LeBron James.
Skip, you do realize this. For what it's worth, Michael Jordan and LeBron James average the exact same total minutes per game, 38.3. LeBron averages more minutes per game for a career than what Kobe averaged. And do you realize that LeBron had 3 seasons in which he averaged more minutes than Jordan or Kobe ever averaged in a season? So this notion that he's slowing down and that he's not the same guy is not true.
Wait, how many times did he play? 82 games? All 82?
Skip, we don't count the games. We make the games count. You remember all the games we played.
Michael played 10 82-game seasons? I don't know.
What
He just liked to play
And we
basketball.
got more points than he got.
Yep.
No mercy. Guys, a scary moment in Friday night's Sixers-Wizards game when MVP candidate Joel Embiid threw down a dunk and landed awkwardly on his left knee before falling to the floor. The same knee he had surgery on in 2017, causing him to miss part of that season. An MRI revealed no structural damage, though, calling it a bone bruise, and Embiid is expected to miss 2 to 3 weeks at this point. So, Shannon, how does this impact his MVP chances right now?
It probably ends his chances, Skip. There's only been one MVP that's missed at least 15 games and won the award. That was Bill Walton in 77-78. But what people don't realize, the players selected the MVP back then. After the 1980 season in which Kareem won it, they went to let the sports writer select it. So, Skip, I believe this probably in a shortened season, he's going to win probably 20 to 25 ball games in a shortened season. I think it probably ends his MVP candidacy.
LeBron just can't get a break.
I
mean, seriously.
I wish Joel get healthy soon.
How many more breaks? I guess I have no choice but to congratulate LeBron James for winning the 2021 MVP,
Skip,
right?
No.
It's over.
Oh, my goodness.
It's over.
Why is it over, Skip?
I don't think Embiid's season is over. And by the way, they said bone bruise. I couldn't see contact on that play. I only saw hyperextension.
Yeah. It could have been much worse, Skip. That's a big man to come down on that awkward angle like that. Excuse me. Walton missed 24 games in 77, 78.
Right. So the point is the hyperextension, it's going to be sore, but maybe 2 weeks. Maybe he could be back.
But the way they're playing games they're playing 4 games in 5 days, so that's at least 8 games. He's already missed 7.
So the Sixers have played 39. They have 33 left.
Right.
Is it enough? Because they are threatening now. They're a game up in the East, and they're threatening Utah's. They're only a game and a half behind Utah's best record in basketball.
And plus, Skip, it doesn't help his MVP case that they're winning without it.
Well, they won 1 game without him, although then he and Simmons had COVID issues. They won at Chicago on the first game back from the break. So between COVID and hyperextension, it's coming up LeBron. It's all about LeBron.
Skip, it's all about position.
Yep.
It's all about position. And then when we hit this home stretch, the last 15 games, that's when they drop, hey, turn him loose. Turn him loose. He coming down the home
they're not
stretch.
turning him loose.
Turn him loose, go.
That's how we're going to have the show.
And down the stretch they come.
I want that same energy.
Undisputed. We're back same time tomorrow morning. The herd is on right now. Have a good day, guys.